Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again here at the Dispatch. Of course, welcome aboard. It is Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. This is live show 1258. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual around here. We just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I will normally take a first look at a tabletop role-playing game release. So tonight, we're going to dive on in and we're going to take a first look at the Alien, the role-playing game, Evolved Edition Core Rules. That is a mouthful there. This is from our friends over at Free League Publishing. This is available in stores as of today. So stay tuned. We're going to be taking a peek at this, and I am also going to be telling you how you can get into the running to win a copy of this core rulebook in PDF that I will be giving away. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But of course, when you're hanging out watching the Dispatch, we've got loads and loads of things to talk about. We are going to tackle some of the latest in tabletop gaming news tonight. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live show, there is also chat available. So if you are a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour, you can take part. And of course, if you check that box off, you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo, followed by Keithulu, Mike, W. Forge. The Madman is with us once again. He is one of our chat moderators. Good to see him back. J-Man and Kathy Evans are all chiming in chat. So is John Snyder. And of course, we may have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D on hand as well, lurking in the shadows as another of our chat moderators. Very nice, very nice. So hopefully you all had a fun weekend. Mine was okay. Didn't get a ton done outside of, sharing some videos, such as my first look at Alien, the role-playing game, Evolved Edition's starter set. Just shared that video yesterday. And also shared my review of the Tales of the Valiant Monster Vault 2 to wrap up the Cobalt Press Week last week. But for the most part, fairly quiet around here. Yeah, Sarah D is with us as well tonight. Good to see everybody. Let's jump right on into the news because the Ghost in the Shell Arise tabletop role-playing game is currently up for crowdfunding for a Mana Project Studio. And here's the scoop. The Ghost in the Shell Arise TTRPG is a role-playing game focused on action, espionage, and corporative corruption, based on the exciting and hyper-technological future described in the anime series, originally inspired by the Ghost in the Shell manga, imagined by the creative mind of Shinro Mizumune. I don't think I pronounced that correctly. then adapted into a world-famous anime series by the renowned studio Production IG. You've always dreamed of the amazing version of reality in cyberspace is highlighted in Ghost in the Shell Arise and other anime series. In this game, you will take the saga from its very beginning and live through the formation of a security section in parallel to the birth of legendary Section 9, as well as sort through the many ghosts that are inevitably a part of it. In this game, you will play your own stories by impersonating operatives specialized in counterterrorism in a future world that survived a global collapse where cybernetics pose new moral questions about mankind. I have to say, I'm a little surprised that Mana Project Studio did not do a little better job of localizing this Kickstarter. I believe they're out of Italy, or maybe they're out of France. I do not believe English is their first language. So, as an example, it says you will play your own stories by impersonating operatives. No, you're going to take on the roles of operatives who would be working for Section 9, not impersonating anybody. I should say this Kickstarter is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the core rulebook, the adventure book, GM screen, dice, and more for a pledge of approximately $140 through November 27th. Of course, there are a wide variety of different pledge levels out there. One is simply for the core rulebook. Strangely enough, I did not see one that is only for the core rulebook and adventure book. You actually have to get that $140 level pledge to get the adventure book with the core rulebook, as far as I saw. I could be wrong. Regardless, expected fulfillment is October of next year. I got to say, I'm surprised it took folks this long to get a Ghost in the Shell role-playing game out there. Although it is based on Ghost in the Shell Arise, which I think, are there 4 releases in that series? Because I'm pretty sure Arise was a series. I don't think it was just an OVA or a movie. I think it was a series, but they kind of retconned Ghost in the Shell. So like the Major is young. She's like 20s, early 20s, if even that, in the series. But I think there were 4 releases in line. So that's why I thought it was kind of weird. If you look at the cover of the book says Ghost in the Shell. But the title of the Kickstarter is Ghost in the Shell Arise. Those are 2 different things. They're not the same. So we'll see. We shall see. These are the same folks who did the Cowboy Bebop role-playing game. So, and I had heard that was pretty decent role-playing game, so don't know. I would think you'd maybe get a little more out of Ghost in the Shell than Cowboy Bebop. I don't know. I'm actually got to say, I've always been a huge fan of Ghost in the Shell. I have not watched Arise. That's the only Ghost in the Shell series that I have not taken a peek at. Seen all the films, all the other series that came before. I even watched the 2 series that when they originally aired in Japan, they were like pay-per-view. So No Limelight Productions has joined us in chat. Welcome aboard. All right, moving right along. Chaosium Inc. has released basic role-playing creatures. Here's the skinny. Any monster, any setting, any genre, any game. Basic role-playing creatures collects animals, monsters, non-humans, and non-player characters drawn from history, science fiction, fantasy, prehistory, mythology, and the modern world, allowing for any game master to use them in any D100-based game. It's a menagerie of monsters, packed with over 200 creatures, with chapters on natural animals, dinosaurs and megafauna, fantasy creatures, summon creatures, science fiction creatures such as aliens and robots, as well as non-player characters. It's a Game Master toolkit. Make any creature work for your campaign. This book includes rules for modifying and customizing creatures and NPCs, creating familiars, making megafauna, harvesting creature parts, kaiju creation, guidance for building villains, and more. Robust entries on dragon, elf, and giant heritages and dwarf tribes with rules on how to use them as player characters in any of your BRP games, especially ones of your own design. What heritages would you design? Guidelines for using these creatures in other BRP-based games, such as RuneQuest, Call of Cthulhu, Rivers of London, and Pendragon. The strength of the basic role-playing system is that you can easily adapt material from one game to the other. What creatures do you want to challenge your player characters with? This 160-page hardcover with PDF, as long as if you order it from Chaosium Inc., carries an MSRP of $39.99. If you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. I gotta say, I am surprised it took this long for Chaosium to finally release a bestiary for basic role-playing. You would have thought that was a no-brainer from years back, but no, this is the first time we have seen a bestiary for this edition of basic role-playing, which the reality is this edition really didn't change a whole lot. In fact, I think compared to the previous edition, it's really the same thing. The core rulebook just has more content packed into it. Kevin R. Smith is joining us in chat as well. Moon right along, there is a new bundle of holding, which has arrived, which features the Salvage Union role-playing game from Leyline Press. Now I've got the deets on the deal. Salvage. This all-new Salvage Union bundle presents, well, you guessed it, Salvage Union, the rules-light post-apocalyptic tabletop role-playing game from Leyline Press, about ragtag pilots who scour the ruined wasteland in scrap-built mechs. The corporation stripped the world bare, and giant bio-titans and alien nanite goop infest the land. But your rust bucket mechs still rumble across the wasteland, funding your freedom one wreck at a time. As you jury-rig, repair, and claw your way across the wastes. Wait a second. How did Outgun pop in there? That ain't right. You know, I just went through these to make sure that everything was fine. That looked like everything was cool. Weird. Alrighty. Okay. There we go. We got that fixed. All right. Well, back to it. Back to it. That's what happens when it's a live show. Every mission is a gamble between profit and survival, between what you scavenge and what you lose. In gritty, desperate, and very human adventures about collaboration, risk, and moral compromise, the high-stakes consequences of your choices hit as hard as missiles. Based on the quest rule system from the Adventure Guild, Salvage Union uses a simple and flexible D20 core mechanic that encourages creativity for both mediator and players. Start with one of 30 different chassis, then customize your mech to your exact tastes, choosing from 150 hardware systems, lasers, dozer blades, torpedoes that burrow, and modules, scramblers, neurolinks, hull magnetizers. Your pilot is no slouch either. Even outside the cockpit, your advanced and legendary abilities help when you get into a scrape. Just keep an eye on your mech's heat or you might melt down. This Salvage Union bundle gives you everything you need for long-haul hard-scrabble campaigns that let you scavenge ancient biochassis, nanite tech, and even demonic automechs. Just $19.95, you'll get all 4 titles in the Salvage collection. It's got a retail value of $79.50 as DRM-free PDFs including the complete 340-page Salvage Union core rulebook, plus the free quick start, and 3 campaign-length adventures: False Flag, Rainmaker, and We Were Here First. These savings run through December 8th. You may recall I reviewed Salvage Union a ways back, so if you're kind of curious about it, by all means, check out the review. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was a fairly unique, new at the time, role-playing game, and it was kind of a cool take on mechs and mecha. So yeah, by all means, this is a pretty sweet deal as well. Get everything that's out there for it. I think this is all the releases that have come out for it for less than $20. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Sean Mayer has joined us in chat. Welcome. On to the next news piece. Trollord Games has released Castles and Crusades Codex Exaltum. Here's what I know. If I can get it over. Yeah, there we go. I'm like, come on, switch. Walona's Cave is joining us in chat. Upon windswept battlefields, they seek the glory of the gods. With weapons of steel, fire, and ice, stout shields and sorcery, they drive ever onward, seeking the grandeur of conflict with creatures of terrible wrath or beasts of legend. In all hours of every day, they gird themselves for war and struggle to drive those evil beings of foul intent to doom and oblivion. But before glory can be obtained, before the gods can be exalted, they must face and overcome those that would oppose them, demons, devils, and all the forces of darkness. The great hosts of the Celestials are as numerous as the stars in the sky. Some with violent warriors, others are wondrous and wise. Some are helpful, but many are horrific and baleful to the unwary or undeserving. But they are all creatures defined by their servitude and their dedication to being agents of cosmic balance, far beyond the ken of the noble adventurer. This is the Codex Exaltum, a catalog of scores of celestial creatures. Within these pages, you'll find everything you need to know about angels, divine mounts, the night stag, river boon, and so much more. Scores of entries, each depicted in glorious color. Further, Codex Exaltum touches on true names, exorcism, possession, and more. The choirs of good have arrived. The 180-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $29.99. If you want to grab the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. And we will be getting an opportunity to take a peek at this as well as its companion book, which I will be talking about tomorrow during the news, from our friends over at Trollord Games. So those have been ordered, and I don't think they've shipped out yet, but we should see them, I would say, probably early December. So stay tuned for that. Let's tackle our final news piece, because now available in print and PDF is Shadowrun Deus Ex Arcana. And here's the lowdown from Catalyst Game Labs. Power shift. The only constant when it comes to magic is change. Since the awakening, those who can access the powers of magic have attempted to tame it and bend it to their will. And for a time, magicians thought they'd mastered the arcana. But now a true force of nature, magic, suddenly changed the rules. The upheaval of the manosphere following the Dizzian Shadow War has brought significant changes to magic. Changes that aren't quite yet understood, but already being seen and felt. Magic is both familiar and different. Current mythologies, or I should say current methodologies, aren't always working, forcing some magicians to return to older ways in order to move into the future. Can the awakened adapt to these changes, or will they simply fade into history? Deus Ex Arcana is the core advanced magical rulebook for Shadowrun 6th World. The 186-page hardcover with PDF is available now. It carries an MSRP of $49.99. If you want to grab the PDF, you can do so once again over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Strangely enough, people have this impression that I don't like Shadowrun and I don't like Catalyst Game Labs. I have nothing against Catalyst Game Labs. I think that the company has not been well run over the years. I think they have made some major mistakes. And from what I hear from other people, Sixth World Shadowrun is clunkier than hell. At least the starter set was when I took a peek at it. But I got a soft spot for Shadowrun. I picked up the original core book from FASA. I had a lot of the splats. Of course, never run it. Just like many of the other games that are out there that I had umpteen different releases for. Never got around to running it. There you go. Lotus Cave said they just got the shipment notification for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Lords of Stone and Steel. They still have their first edition Stone and Steel. Will I be reviewing that one? Usually, for the most part, you can expect coverage of stuff from Cubicle 7 games. I don't think there's anything recently that I have not had an opportunity to share video with you for. So I would expect that to be the case. I got to be honest, I have plans for a Warhammer Roleplay week because I've got quite a lot of Warhammer, not only Wifrip, but also Wrath and Glory and Imperium Maledictum reviews to share. So I'm thinking that is probably going to be either the last week of November or the first week of December. And there will probably be 5 reviews thereabouts. So there you go. Kevin R. Smith says, yeah, it sure was clunkier when Game Masters were changing target numbers as well as dice pool sizes. Coco B has plopped on into chat. Says, when has Shadowrun not been clunky? I don't remember. Mechanically, I got to be honest, I don't remember the first edition. I don't remember what mechanics it used. It used a D6 dice pool, didn't it? Well, in his case says Warhammer and Turkey. What a combo. Yeah, maybe. Just maybe. You never know. All right. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, Storytellers Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale, and all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up. Help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Like those 3D special effects there. Wow, it was like right. It was. You thought I was going to poke you in the eye. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always support the outlet in a few ways. First, of course, by utilizing those affiliate links I was just talking about, or by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Or become a monthly member of our Patreon, and you will find links in the show notes for all of that. Also down in the show notes, you'll find an invite link to our Discord server. It's free to sign up, so be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Also, on all my live shows, I like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So big thank you to Gustavo Cavallo, Herman Lutman, Jason Lahman, Kaval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, Talzek, Dan Webb, GameCat, Kevin King, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, Agile Monk, and the Madman. Thank you kindly, everybody. It is much appreciated. All right, so we're going to dive on in. We're going to be taking a look at Alien, the role-playing game, Evolved Edition's core rules in a few moments. I'm also going to tell you how you can get into the running to win a copy of this in PDF that I'm giving away. Before I do that, how about I announce the winner of our prior contest? That's right. I mentioned on the last live stream, as we took a peek at Adventures in Faerun and Heroes of Faerun for Dungeons & Dragons, I was giving away a copy of each over at D&D Beyond, and I shared the rules to the contest, and I randomly selected a winner. Actually, I didn't even really have to randomly select the winner because they were the only person who commented on that video who followed the instructions. So the winner of the 2 new Faerun Forgotten Realms releases over on D&D Beyond is Kathy Evans, who I believe I saw in chat earlier. Hopefully she didn't leave. So yes, congratulations, Kathy. All you got to do, shoot me an email from your Gmail address that is related to your YouTube account, and I will send you a code to utilize on D&D Beyond for you to get both of those books. Yay! Hooray! So there is that. Let's see what else. I had some goodies arrive. Now, you already knew that all the alien stuff showed up. Was what? Well, maybe you didn't. I mentioned it was on its way last week, but it did arrive. And then, of course, I went and I did my first look at the starter set. Something I want to mention. How should I put this? I have noticed there are some outlets out there. In fact, I was informed from one of the publisher's PR companies about an outlet out there that was violating the embargoes on reviews. I want to say I have noticed there are a few, I'm not going to point fingers and name names. I bet you've probably already stumbled across these. But they're ignoring embargoes from the publishers, and it's not an accident. Like, I have broken embargo twice. Once for Paizo, and that was because they never sent me anything telling me that what they had sent along was under any embargo, because they never have embargoes on stuff. And I guess they decided they were going to do an embargo. So that was fine. No problem. Everything's cool. You saw I just did the Paizo preview for November, so it wasn't an issue. And then one time with Free League Publishing, and that was because I want to say it was when they had switched from the person who worked in-house as their marketing person to another outside agency, which is what they use now. So, and I apologize because I was not aware that there was an embargo. There are some outlets that are out there that are like, yeah, Mike says they violated an embargo once. A little Cuban cigar. When I worked for a big money resort in Phoenix, Arizona, we used to sell Cuban cigars. And it was legal because they were Cuban cigars that had been bought before the embargo on Cuba. So we were selling Cuban cigars that were from like the 1930s and 40s. And yes, they sold for a lot of money. Anyway, so it's very possible you've already seen people posting reviews of this that have been up for a while. They weren't supposed to. And there is another outlet. I was not familiar with. Somebody pointed me out to it, and they said, hey, did you see this person? They're doing flip throughs, and they're showing each and every page of the PDFs that they get. I was like, what? I don't know. It's getting to the point where, you know, some of these outlets out there are like, fuck you. I don't care. I'll do whatever I want. And sadly, some of them know that they can't compete with other outlets. I'm not talking me. I'm not talking about they can't compete with me. But they know they can't compete with other outlets that share reviews if they go head to head on the same release date or the date that the embargo lifts. So they're like, yeah, whatever. I won't be surprised if some of these outlets stop getting review copies of stuff, because the person that I had touched base with from Free League, well, it wasn't Free League, it's their marketing people. They were not pleased about these violations for Alien. So I even held back on doing any first looks. I shared my first look at the starter set yesterday, even knowing that a first look was okay. I thought, well, they seem to be upset. So I'm just gonna back up. No Limelight Productions asks, is the cover glossy? Yes, it is. It is glossy. All right. So anyway, just mentioning that. Anyway, regardless, stay tuned. I'm going to tell you how you can get into the running to win a PDF copy of the core rulebook that I'll be giving away. Elliot and I also booked our flight for the Philadelphia area gaming expo. So we got that taken care of. It's January 15th through the 18th. So I am a special guest, and I will actually be doing interviews at the page exhibit area in the convention hall. So I'm going to reach out to some creators in that. I might just float out on social media that if someone's exhibiting there and they want to interview with me, reach out to the powers that be. So because honestly, I mean, I think I'm a pretty good interviewer. You may disagree, but I always try to keep them fun. At least I don't make them too serious. I mean, come on, we're talking about games here. Give me a break. Right. So I was talking about some goodies that arrived. Well, I had already pointed out that all the Dolmenwood stuff was in transit. It did show up. Actually showed up yesterday. So what I'm thinking of doing is doing a Dolmenwood weekend. Taking a first look at this Friday. First look at the campaign book on Saturday. And then doing a look at, I think it's the monster book on Sunday. So that way I've got, because the thing is, we've got the 3 shows this week. Next week is Thanksgiving here in the U.S., so I'm only going to do a show on Tuesday. So I've got some stuff starting to pile up a little bit. So I know everybody likes when I do the first looks on the live show, but I feel guilty when I have a publisher send me something and then, a few weeks goes by and it's like, man, I still haven't gotten the video out for them. So we'll see what happens. The Madman said, beware the virus flights. They managed to pick up some crud on their way to Florida, even with a mask. Still trying to fight it off. Yeah, just like I went to Gamehole Con, came back, and my sinuses were shot for 10 days. First, like 4 days were like miserable. Roger Perdome has joined us in chat. Very nice. Very nice. So anyway, just, just letting you know what's cooking, what you can keep your eyes out for. At the end of the show, I'll talk about what we are going to be taking a look at the rest of the week, because I did switch. We were going to take a look at Traveler Highguard today. We're going to take a look at it tomorrow, because I figured, a lot of people are going to want to be checking out Alien, the role-playing game, Evolved Editions, Core Rules. And that rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Coco B said they played some Dolmen Wood. Tons of flavor in that setting. Yeah, I'm really curious. I'm excited to finally have an opportunity to take a peek at it, because I've heard a lot of people talk about it. And for the most part, they have dug it quite a lot. So we shall see. All right, so we will dive on into Alien, the role-playing game, Evolved Edition, Core Rules, in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Nobody beats the Wiz. Nobody beats the Wiz.
Everybody's rushing to the Wiz Unbeatable Thanksgiving Super Sale. Nobody beats the Wiz on this Sharp half-pipe microwave oven, unreal at $99. On this Brother Electric typewriter with case, unstoppable at $99. On this Codaphone beeperless remote telephone answering machine, unmatchable at $88.
Nobody beats the Wiz.
The Unbeatable Thanksgiving Super Sale now at all 11 Wiz stores.
Beats the Wiz. Oh, a day for savings. That's a big Thanksgiving sale at Kmart.
Tomorrow morning, every Kmart in America will open at 8 a.m. for a Thanksgiving sale. Check your Kmart circular. You'll find pages of great gift values for every person on your list. The nationwide Thanksgiving sale. Tomorrow only, starting at 8 a.m. at the Kmart near you.
Kmart, we've got it and we've got it good.
This is the Nintendo video game system. It plays only cartridge games. This is the new Atari XE system. It plays cartridge and disc-based games. Disc drive sold separately, and only Atari comes with a real joystick. Both have guns, but only Atari comes with the target game Bug Hunt. Nintendo has a toy robot, but only Atari gives you a keyboard for playing advanced computer games. It even comes with the amazing Flight Simulator 2 cartridge. The new Atari XE video game system. Unbeatable.
Kenner presents new Alien action figure.
Bayonets glow! Quick, shut the L off! The alien's locked out now! He got through! Shh! Give up! Alien can't be beat! We'll zap him with the light! Don't, he'll destroy the spaceship! We've lost! Better find another ship! Let's try the kitchen! Another triumph for Alien!
Alien action figure. New from Kenner.
It's your present from Mr. Wilkins.
But I don't drink Wilkins instant coffee.
I know, he just wanted to be remembered.
I also think it was pretty weird that you had a Kenner 18-inch alien figure from an R-rated movie. Back in the days when, I mean, granted, a lot of stuff that was rated R when I was a kid is now all, PG, PG-13. But even back then, they have a kid's toy, and they're showing these like 12-year-old boys playing with it, based on an R-rated movie is a little odd. The alien's victorious again. Okie doke. Robert Dennis is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. All right, so tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at Alien, the role-playing game, Evolved Edition Core Rules from Free League Publishing. This 314-page hardcover arrived in stores today. The book with PDF carries an MSRP of $57.99. If you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here we've got the core rules. Oh, yes. All right. Few things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, my friends over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside. Also, I would take a guess that we do have an introductory adventure included. So if you're a player and your game mother has ordered this, maybe they want to pick this up already. Maybe they're talking about picking this up. Keep in mind, as we flip through, there might be some things that we see that ruin some surprises of the adventure inside, if there is an adventure. Kathy Evans says they have a Monster High version of the Alien now. That's pretty wild. Only reason why I'm familiar with Monster High is because we share the comic book news on Sundays, and I know it's a line of toys. I'm just not familiar with the line of toys, but I do get to see the new issues of the Monster High comics that come out from IDW Publishing. All right, let's take a look at the back here. I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies. Topping charts and capturing hearts since its release, Alien the role-playing game has become a fan favorite across the globe, inspiring new standards for horror and sci-fi RPGs while winning a dozen top awards over the years, including Best Game at the ENnie Awards. Move over, Dungeons & Dragons. Free League has released Alien the role-playing game, and it is as great as it is terrifying. It's a pull quote from The Gamer. Boy, doesn't that sound like an ass-kissing quote? Move over, Dungeons & Dragons. Yeah, okay. All righty. That's clickbaity, ain't it? I have no idea who The Gamer is. So sorry. Now the time has come for an evolution. The Alien RPG Evolved Edition expands upon the original experience and provides an updated and revised version that will feel fresh for rookie and veteran players alike. This expanded core rulebook includes new artwork, new content, and various new tools for players and game mothers alike, all fully compatible with previous releases. That tells us what some of the new stuff is. We're going to find out for ourselves as we look inside. So we have the stars in the middle heavens. We got a pull-out map, a pretty good sized map in the starter set for this. There's also a set of miniatures. I'm going to take a look at the miniatures when I share a first look at the cinematic adventure that's also been released. I'm going to kind of team those two up. That will be a standalone video. It's not going to be part of a live stream. All right, so here we have our credits page. So let's give credit where credit is due. All right, so first of all, first thing I will point out, we do have the dark on light. I appreciate that because the original Alien, the role-playing game, had dark backgrounds with light text, which is okay for a few pages, but after that, it really starts to kind of wear on your eyes. Keith Ulu says, each session, does every character die but one? Who gets away? Only the cat. Only the cat gets away. That's it. So there you go. Kevin R. Smith points out, it really depends on whether you're doing a cinematic or a campaign. The vast majority of the adventures that released for the first edition was cinematic. So they were essentially one-shots. So Kevin R. Smith says, Light on Dark is particularly brutal with glossy pages. Yes, I am with you on that as well. All right. So I am going to be skipping some pages here, but I know a lot of people are very curious what has changed. To my knowledge, and I have not taken a deep dive on this yet, I haven't even started reading the starter set booklets yet because I've got other stuff that's in the queue ahead of it. But I do understand that they've changed the stress and the panic rules a little bit, because in the original game, if you rolled exceptionally bad, you could start going down this like slippery slope for stress that it's just like a death spiral that it was very difficult for the player character to pull out of. So I believe they've changed that up. I think they've expanded on the combat rules as well. It's going to talk about what is the story's mother. So that is our game master there. Frontier Life. One aspect I thought was very, very cool about the first edition is just how much it really expanded on the alien backstory. Or maybe it was just stuff that I wasn't super aware of. But I really thought that Freely Publishing did an excellent job as far as really fleshing out the non-alien related aspects. So let's see. Each player in this game, except one, takes the role of a player character. You might be a space colonist, a space trucker, a marine, or something else. You decide what your PC thinks and feels, what they say and do, but not what happens to them. It's your job as a player to portray your PC and imagine yourself in their boots. Your PC is a person with feelings and dreams, just like yourself. Try to imagine, how would you react if you were in their place? What would you do? The player characters are always the protagonists of the story. The game is about you, your decisions, your story. And then it talks about the game mother being the GM. I find it kind of interesting how we've been encountering role-playing games where the little blurb they have about the player character is like, what would you do? What if you were in this situation, what would you do? Is that really role-playing though? Because I mean, you're not playing a role, you're playing an avatar of yourself. I find it kind of interesting how we're seeing more game books, not because a lot of times we used to see stuff where it's like, oh, remember, this isn't you. This is your character. This is someone completely different. And now it's kind of like, yeah, okay, so it's you in this situation, but not you. Oh, okay. So talking about our tools of the game, we've got our dice. That starter set has 20 dice. Granted, they are 6-sided dice, but they are custom dice. If you have not checked out my first look of the starter set, by all means, give it a peek. Your player character is the most important asset in the Alien, your most important asset in the Alien role-playing game. They are your avatar in the game world. There you go. They are your eyes and ears out there in the deepest dark of space. You munch on popcorn with friends and roll dice while they take all the risks. There is an unwritten binding agreement between you two. Like any corporate contract, there is a catch. You live vicariously through them, and they, in return, depend on you to keep them alive. All right, come on, you're taking this a little too seriously. Don't screw it up. So we're talking about cinematic play, campaign play, in pre-made cinematic adventures such as Rapture Protocol and the Hope's Last Day starter set. The player characters are already provided for you. All you need to do is decide who plays which character. If you can't agree on who to play, roll dice for it. So there's more to cinematic play than that. Campaign play is where you would be creating characters. So some of the campaign frameworks: space truckers, colonial marines, and frontier colonists. So we've got our core concepts for our careers. Our attributes, we have 4. We have strength, agility, wits, and empathy. And they are a range of 1 to 5. We also have skills, which are very broad. And those are ranked 0 to 5. Of course, this does use the Year Zero engine for mechanic resolution. So you are looking at a dice pool of 6-sided dice. So normally in a situation where you're trying to do something, you're going to take the dice allocated for your attributes, add them to the dice allocated from your skill level, add them together, roll the dice. You're looking for 6s on those dice as far as successes. So Reading Aid popped on into chat, said they got theirs, but it was damaged. No Limelight Productions asked, when is this officially out? Today. It is officially out today. And also, please keep in mind, this is not a review. This is a first look. A lot of people, they'll check out the video and then they leave a comment saying, hey, I really like the review. It's not a review. And when people leave comments like that, it misleads other people who check out the video, and then they get pissed off because they're like, hey, that wasn't a review, or that was the shittiest review I ever saw. That's like, I never said it's a review. So here are some of our archetypes, different careers. Got the Colonial Marshal, Company Agent. Let's take a look at Pilot. Hey, speaking of, I mentioned this, I think we took a first look at one of the first edition Alien releases, and I mentioned this story. So my brother used to live out in LA, and he was friends with the actress who played the pilot of the dropship in Aliens. I thought that was kind of weird. All right, so here we got our pilot. The stars are the limit, and they are limitless. You aren't content to keep your feet on the ground and on the frontier. There's no need to. From starfighters to dropships, freighters to frigates, there's always something that needs flying in some aerospace stunt that only you can pull off. You aren't in this for the money, although it doesn't hurt. You're a thrill seeker and an adrenaline junkie. Danger is the rush you live for, but stay frosty. Otherwise, the next time you find yourself dodging through an asteroid belt or seeing the ground rush up to meet you might be your last. So the key attribute is agility, key skills, piloting, ranged combat, comtech, and then we get some starting cash. There's 3 different talents available, so you can choose or roll a D3. So at full throttle, like the back of your hand, and reckless. We actually have some random names there. Personal agendas, that's something else that the player characters will have. Is going to be a personal agenda that really comes into play with the cinematic adventures out there. Your appearance, your gear, signature item. So as far as character creation, there are no rules for character creation in the starter set. Of course, they are here in the core rules. And it's not overwhelming by any stretch of the imagination if it's anything like the first edition. So here we're getting stress, talking about skills. So there are 12 skills in total. Like I said, they're pretty broad. 3 skills linked to each of the 4 attributes. So we have 2 different types of dice. We have the base dice for tasks and things like that. And then we have stress dice. So going into some different talents and explaining each of the talents based on the archetype, it looks like. Stealth and combat. Something else to keep in mind, this is going to be a game where your characters are pretty squishy. Pretty squishy. Reading Aid said Free League did reach out and they said they would send a replacement for the damaged items. Yeah, I figured they would. I mean, Free League Publishing's good about that stuff. Here we got combat initiative. So you'll have a deck of 10 initiative cards that get dealt out. Surprise and ambush. Close combat. I think grappling is new. I don't recall grappling in the first edition. I like the artwork. The artwork's pretty cool. We have a universal supply dial. I don't remember that either. Oh, you use it to track ammo. There was only one dial. Is it just ammo for the party? Could be. So my understanding is that the rules became a little more crunchy, but they're still, I mean, it's Free League Publishing. It's Year Zero engine outside of, say, Twilight 2000. You don't really get tons and tons of crunch in Free League Publishing games. Like, like Dragonbane. Dragonbane's pretty rules light. Now, that doesn't mean that it's, simple. I don't mean that at all. But it's looking to me like this might be one of the more complex of the Year Zero engine releases. But it's mostly because we also have the stress and we have the panic. So one of the cool things about stress is as stress builds, you can actually use that in order to help your player character focus. But the problem is if they have too much stress, then they have to roll on the panic, which could be really, really bad. Reading Aid asks, am I going to have a holiday sale again? You know what? I was considering it. I had mentioned it on the show last week. I will talk about that when we're done taking a peek at this. I'll spend a minute or two floating out some options here. All right, so we got gear and tech. Yes, very nicely done. I love how we get pretty much images for just about every rifle and things like that. Are we going to get images for armor? No, maybe not. That's kind of a bummer. I just said, oh, it's really cool. We got the images for the weapons, and then it looks like, well, outside the power loader, the work loader, I should say. All right, so let's take a break for a sec. I'm going to tell you how you can get into the running to win a copy of the Alien the Role-Playing Game, Evolved Edition, core rules in PDF that I'll be giving away. If you follow the Gaming Gang, you know how I like to do my contests. Number 1, give the video a thumbs up. Give it a like. Number 2, you have to be a subscriber to the channel. Number 3, in the comment section, let me know what your favorite Alien film is and why. And you will have until noon on Thursday, so a little less than 2 days, to get your comment in. I will then randomly select one lucky viewer, or I guess I could say one lucky commenter, and they will win. In fact, you know what? I will select two lucky viewers. I will give away 2 copies of the core rules in PDF. Gotta play. I mean, come on. And I will announce the winner on Thursday's live show. You do not have to watch live. You do have to watch this. Otherwise, you won't know about what the contest is. But you don't have to watch live. Coco B says, ooh, tough question. There are only 2 movies. No, there's more than 2 movies. Yeah, more than 2 movies. Coco B. Maybe you're not aware of them. You know, funny enough, a lot of people hate Alien 3. And I get it. It opens up with some bullshit at that crash site. It's like, come on. But the reality is, I don't think it's that bad. It's all right. It's better than 4. It is better than 4. It's better than Alien versus Predator. So Chris Leonard says, does that include the Alien versus Predator movies? Yeah, you know what? It does. Because the reality is, it is all part of the same, you know, what do they consider it? The same IP now? There you go, Reading Aid. I'm with you on that. Their favorite Alien movie was episode 5 of the Alien show, the TV show Alien Earth. Yeah, but man, it did not stick the landing. I mean, I really thought they screwed the pooch with that finale. I was like, ugh. There you go. Coco B says, well, there's only 2 worth watching. Yeah, I get it. I understand what you meant. I was just giving you a hard time. Kevin R. Smith said they thought Covenant and Romulus were decent. Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. It really has a lot to do. What are you looking for out of your Alien movie? If you're just looking for action, then yeah, by all means, Aliens is going to be your all-time favorite. If you're looking for, you know, like more of the world building and stuff like that, then, you know, maybe Prometheus or Covenant or Romulus are going to be more your bag. Kevin R. Smith said they saw one source call it the Wayland Yutani verse. Yeah, I could see that. I would like to go check out Predator Badland. I probably will. I got to be honest. Right now, I am watching the new Ken Burns documentary, The American Revolution. Yes. Some people may not realize that you can actually watch ahead on your local PBS website. So ours is WTTW. So I know tonight is the 3rd episode of the 6 episodes, but if you go online, you can actually watch all of them already. I thought it was kind of cool. Kevin R. Smith says, I doubt Prometheus is anyone's favorite, even if you like the world building. Well, you know what? Funny enough, just as Rita Gates says, I can't stand when people crap on Prometheus. That was almost in stereo. Yes, season 2 of Alien Earth has been greenlit. Right. Anyway. Chris Lundgren says, oh, you can watch online where? Go to your local PBS website. So like I said, ours in the Chicago area is WTTW.com. So whatever it is, whatever your call letters are, go to that and click on, I'm sure it'll be like right up front, right on the front page. All right, so we are taking a look at in here. This looks to be a section about the world of Alien. So it is a hard life amongst the stars. So getting some information about various different factions, basics of spacecraft. Spaceships of the 2180s. That's one of the things that kind of threw me off with the Alien Earth series. It's like, what? Isn't it supposed to be like 2050? It's like, really? It's 25 years from now? Higzilla is with us. Might be a first-time visit here in chat. Welcome aboard. They're curious, is Alien or Mothership the better rules system? I would say that it is going to depend on what sort of role-playing game experience you're looking for. So I would point people in the direction of Mothership if they like D100 systems. If they also come to the realization that failing a roll does not necessarily mean that whatever the player character was attempting to do is a complete failure, that's a problem that people have because the skills and the attributes are relatively low percentile wise. So it's not as if every time they fail a roll that it's like, oh, well, terrible things happen. No, they can actually succeed, but you throw a challenge in there. You make something, add something to the story off of that. Kevin R. Smith said they think the ship was supposed to have taken off in the 2050s. Right, but it's still 25 years from now. We're sending out ships, It's like kind of funny how if you go back to like the 80s and even like the 70s and 80s, and you saw shows that are supposed to be, or movies too, that are set in the future, how like really out there things were only like 100 years into the future. And now when you see science fiction stuff, we don't usually see things that are like, oh, well, it's 100 years from now. It's like 500 years from now, say like, or thousands of years from now, say like Foundation. Which I've enjoyed. I've really enjoyed Foundation. So Kevin R. Smith says, oh, yeah, we're supposed to have generation ships within 30 years. Yeah, well, got to make sure that the human race doesn't go extinct. We got to get off this rock and get onto some other ones. All right. So taking a look at different ships, we got rules about space combat. I think these have also been expanded upon. Agile Monk is popping into chat. Welcome aboard. Good to see you once again. Someone else I saw popped into chat. Never Fate might be another first-time visitor here with us. Welcome aboard. I got to say, I am definitely digging the light background. Very, very much. This is the same sort of layout that the starter set has too. The starter set, the rule booklet is 25 pages and the adventure is 20. I got to say, the starter set's got quite a lot packed into it. There's even a Xenomorph mini. So we're going to get into cinematic play and campaign play. And there is a big difference between these. So Agile Monk says, yep, they've got their jetpack in their closet. Is it straight out of the Bond movies? So yes, Kevin R. Smith said, yeah, we were supposed to have jetpacks by now. You know what? We did have jetpacks. They just didn't run for more than a minute. So it's like I'm trying to remember the Bond movie that opens up with Sean Connery using one of those. And everybody was like, oh, what kind of special effects did they use? And it was like, no, that was a real jetpack. It was not Sean Connery using it, but it was a real jetpack. Only problem was it only had like 30 seconds or 60 seconds of fuel. So, all right, cinematic play. The iconic stories of the Alien universe are intense, exciting, and deadly. The cat and mouse game between the Xenomorph and the crew of the Nostromo in Alien The Marines' descent into the hell that once was Hadley's Hope, and Aliens are the last stand of the prisoners on Fiorina 161 in Alien 3. Cinematic play is the game mode used to emulate such stories, creating short, focused, and intense movie-like experiences that the PCs will be lucky to survive. Cinematic play takes some work on the GM's part. You need to read the scenario and prepare handouts, maps, and characters. The payoff, however, will be great because most of the workload is on the GM and not the players. Cinematic play is ideal for beginners and introducing someone to the world of role-playing games. That is a very good point. They're normally broken up into 3 acts. Some of the longer cinematic play adventures, the boxed adventures, such as the new one for the Evolved Edition, I'm going to take a guess that they will have multiple parts also broken up into 3 acts. Then we have campaign play. This game mode is meant to be played for a longer period of time, at least 5 to 6 game sessions, and often much more than that. In a campaign game, the PCs can roam the star map, take jobs, and go on adventures, all while discovering long-lost secrets, scheming with different factions, and fighting to stay alive. I don't think you see a ton of campaign play with Alien, the role-playing game. I could be absolutely wrong. And I mean, they have released in the past, they have released some supplements that did lean towards campaign play, such as the Colonists supplement. We had the Colonial Space Marines supplement as well. Ravenclaw 74 is popping on board. Is this compatible with the Blade Runner role-playing game? I believe both universes are tied together. There has been like kind of a meme about that before. I don't know if they are or not. But this does use the Year Zero engine, as does Blade Runner. I have not read this yet. This is just a first look, but I can say that mechanically there are going to be some differences, obviously enough. But at its heart, it's pretty much the same thing, rolling a pool of dice, looking to get 6s. So here we get into our governments and corporations. So we have the 3-world empire, the Union of Progressive Peoples, Interstellar Commerce Commission, LaSalle Bionational. Get into our systems and planets. So we've got our core system here, the Sol sector, the Outer Veil, the Outer Rim territories. You know, I know we're looking at Alien, but I do have to point out, I always felt the Expanse would be, and I know, I get it, there is an Expanse role-playing game out there. So, but I always thought that would be a very cool role-playing game to be a player in. I'm a big fan of the Expanse. I really am sorry that we did not, at least up to this point, get an opportunity to see that complete as far as a TV series. Exilla says, why is it always the outer rim? Why is it never the inner rim? Let's see. Manofaction is with us. Says, is this 5 leagues? Well, this would be Free League Publishing. Kevin R. Smith says they've seen at least one long-term actual play campaign of the Alien RPG. Cool. Nice. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying I think more people focus on the cinematic play as opposed to going with the campaign play. So Manofaction says, the more you push, the better or worse the results. Yes, because you can't push your rolls. in year 0. So now we're going to get into our xenomorph. Going to breakdown of that is in its various different stages, I guess we would say. I think we also get some, it looks like we get some other alien creatures here. Nothing from Alien Earth, I'm sure. But still. The swarm, dubbed space locusts by colonial marines. The swarm either originated on or came to rest on planet LVKR-115. For untold centuries, they would ravage the grasslands for a season before going into hibernation for decades, only awakening when the lands were fertile once again. I will take a wild guess. The only reason why they found that out is because they dropped off some colonists. And the swarm awoke after they were there for a few years. And getting into the campaign frame. Before you set out to play a full campaign in the Alien role-playing game, you need to decide which campaign frame to play. Simply put, who the characters are and what role they have in the Alien universe. This is something we recommend that you do together with the players, as you'll have more fun if everyone is involved in creating the game. 3 suggested campaign frames. Already mentioned 2 of them. Talk about the third. Space truckers. That's the one I didn't mention. Colonial marines and frontier colonists are all described below. Then it also tells us some of the previously released expansions, the supplements. Somebody had asked, are these compatible with, is this compatible with the previous edition? According to Free League Publishing, it is 100% compatible. All it's really doing is expanding on some rules, and it's streamlining some others. So Reading 8 says those new alien Earth monsters would be awesome. I would not be shocked if that is not something that is in the pipeline. Maybe not something we're going to see right away, but I would take a guess that is something on the horizon. Ravenclaw74 asked, do we get pics of the unique aliens? It did not look like it. There were some sort of worms, and then there were the swarm. We didn't see any images for those. So Kevin R. Smith says The Expanse may be the best science fiction TV show in the last 20 years. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it's top 5 at least. Like I said, I am really enjoying Foundation. And it's funny because I started Foundation and I watched like the first couple episodes, and it was one of those shows that just didn't grab me. And then I was like, everybody keeps talking about it. I'm like, I'll give it another shot. And I watched 4 episodes because you follow the Gaming Gang. You know, I've talked about if a show can't grab me in the first 3 episodes, I'm out. There's just too much stuff out there. And I was like, you know what? I am digging this. I am liking this. And then I am up to date. So, all right. So here we've got, this looks like more information about different planets. And then we're going to get into some detail about Jackson Star. It's a remote frontier colony on LV-410. I'm not sure if we're going to see an adventure or not, although we are getting a pretty detailed explanation of that Jacob Star. We also have Life Path Generation. Last Survivor. There you go. Oh, so this is a solo mode for Alien, the role-playing game. It says Last Survivor is intended for one-off scenarios. Your PC may survive, but they will most likely perish. Either way, focus on playing through a captivating story with high stakes and insurmountable odds. Depending on the length of your sessions, you might wrap up a mission in a single session or over the course of a few sessions. So we've got that. Is that what we're going to get? Are we going to get a solitaire adventure? Maybe we're not going to get any adventure and you just need to either pick up the starter set or it's called Raptures something. I've got it, as I mentioned already. I've got that as well as the miniatures and the game mother screen. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to see an adventure, which, that's okay. I do appreciate seeing a starter adventure, mostly to provide game masters, or in this case, the game mother, with an idea of how you actually put one together. So there we go. Higzilla says, don't know. I think I can do all this with Traveler with some jump scares. Ravenclaw74 says, Traveler's not as cinematic. I love Traveler. I think Traveler's great. We're actually going to be taking a look at Highguard, the 2022 update on tomorrow's show. Vastly different games. I mean, Traveler, you are playing a campaign. That is what you want. You want the full-blown campaign with Traveler. This looks like, and at least with the first edition as well, this was extremely well suited for 3-4 session adventures, the cinematic style. I thought it pulled it off really well. I think campaign-wise, Alien the Role-Playing Game, at least the first edition, was a little weaker as far as campaign stuff until those additional supplements came out with the Colonial Marines and the colonists. All right. So, Manufacturing asks, is there going to be a Predator expansion? Doubt that very, very highly. Highly doubt it. I do believe there is some news about the Walking Dead role-playing game that is coming soon from Free League Publishing. I got to say, I'm kind of surprised because first wave of stuff came out and then it was like crickets. So if you are a fan of the Walking Dead universe role-playing game, which I got to say, probably not my favorite of the Free League Publishing releases. I thought it was like, that was all right. I didn't like the starter set at all. But supposedly some new stuff on the horizon. And we're still waiting for the Replicant book for Blade Runner. So hopefully we'll see that soon as well. All righty. Chris Lundgren says it's a very old system, but could a Star Frontiers game be run as a scary version? Any game, in my opinion, any game could be run where you're trying to spook the players. You don't need stress mechanics. You don't need... Oh, Tessie Trekkie says the Replicant PDF is out. There you go. Sweet. I did not realize that. There's been a lot going on with Free League Publishing. It's kind of hard to keep up at the moment. But I was going to say, you don't need stress mechanics. You don't need panic mechanics. You don't need sanity mechanics to make a spooky game. I think if the game master can set the scene and really provide the overall bizarre nature or, horrifying nature of the adventure, you're all set. Doesn't matter what rule system you're utilizing. Okay, granted, maybe if you're playing something along the lines of like My Little Pony, the role-playing game, okay, maybe not. But for the most part, yeah, see it all the time. And something I talk about quite a bit is how I recommend game masters, especially if you're looking for a particular vibe for your role-playing games. Like if you're looking for like noir, or if you're aiming for horror, check out some old-time radio shows, because if you listen to the good ones, you learn how to paint a picture with words, which I got to be honest, most people out there, most game masters out there probably are not really well-versed in doing, because it's just not something that you really do. And there's a difference between painting a picture with words and just info dumping on somebody. So there you go. Anyway. So Manufacturing says Star Frontiers, the introductory 3 modules are a horror scenario if you play it. Yes, Mike says, oh, totally. Lots of great old-time radio acting on YouTube, sci-fi, mystery, detective, pulp. If you want to check out old-time radio shows, then by all means, I would definitely recommend checking out Internet Archive, because you can download them in their MP3s, and they're all of, because you got to remember, you're not looking at high fidelity stereo or anything like that. So a lot of times a 30-minute episode for, let's say suspense or escape, or Gunsmoke, you're looking at maybe 8 megs, not gigs, megs. So yeah, I mean, I talk about it all the time. Check it out. If you're running horror role-playing games, go over to thegaminggang.com. Go search for Spooktacular or Halloween, and you will get an idea of a lot of different old-time radio shows that you should be giving a listen to, because I shared many, many spooky episodes on the Spooktaculars that I do, which I did not do one this past Halloween just because I wasn't going to have time. And I had a lot of episodes already from previous Spooktaculars. Agile Monk with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you. Agile Monk says, thank you, Jeff and the Madman and Sarah, for this great channel. What are you talking about? Madman and Sarah don't do jack. They just hang out and chat. Keep people in line. Ravenclaw74 asks, how does the Year Zero engine play? Seems pretty fast, not too crunchy. You are correct. Now, of course, depending on what you're looking to play, they do have different levels of crunch, I guess I would say. So like Twilight 2000, it's got crunch to it. Dragonbane, not as much. Tales from the Loop, very little crunch. Very, very easy to get up and running with something like that. So Blade Runner, almost as much crunch as Twilight 2000. Alien, about the same. Now, like I said, one of the big selling points for this Evolved Edition is supposed to be a lot of stuff being streamlined, but we'll find out. We'll see. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. Kevin R. Smith points out Dragonbane's not Year Zero engine. No, that's right. Dragonbane's D20. But it's also not crunchy at all. The Electric State, Sean Mayer points out or asks, yeah, Electric State is Year Zero engine. It's a very unique game. It's not for everybody. I'll tell you that much. I thought it was fine. I thought it was well done. It's another one of these sort of role-playing games where it's kind of like, you kind of get the feeling that you play through like a campaign once, and that's going to be it. And the campaign is probably no more than 10 sessions in length. So kind of right there with Tales from the Loop, Things from the Flood, as far as complexity. That is a Year Zero engine game. I know there's so many games I've taken a peek at, so many games I've reviewed. Chris Leonard asks, please define year zero engine? Well, we were just looking at one. So we were just looking at a year zero engine game. For the most part, normally action resolution, you'll have your attributes, usually have 4 attributes. I don't think I can, off the top of my head, think of a year zero engine game that's got more than 4. So like with Alien, we just had, was it like strength, agility, wit, empathy, and you will have a range of like 1 to 4, 1 to 5. That's a dice pool. You also have your skills, which are built on, your attributes. So you'll have certain attributes that fall under the different, did I just say attributes? You'll have different skills which fall under different attributes. You'll have something from 0 to 5 for that. So when you're looking to do something, you're going to use a skill. You're going to add the dice pool from the skill, dice pool with the associated attributes, roll them all together. You're looking for 6s. Now, some games might just require 1 6, and hey, there you go, you succeed. Other games, you might need to get more than 1 success. And then, of course, if something's easier, you might get more dice. If something's more difficult, you might get fewer dice to your pool to roll. So there you go. Ravenclaw says, Free League Publishing has a lot of IPs. Maybe why there's not a lot of product is the constraints of dealing with the owners of the IP. That might be a case. That might be something. Honestly, I think the reason why we don't see as much content from Free League Publishing, and we kind of see it in waves, is that they don't have a huge staff. I think that's why I would say if they had more people on staff, because Free League Publishing uses freelancers. Free League Publishing doesn't use the number of freelancers like you would see Wizards of the Coast. So if you open up a D&D supplement, you are going to see all these designers, all these authors. 95% of them are freelancers. You open up in a release from Free League Publishing, and you take a peek, and you'll see, I think at most, I'll normally see maybe like 5 names as far as the authors or designers. A lot of times you might see 1 or 2. So I think that is probably a bigger reason why we don't see as much content out there. Plus, I'm sure my friends over at Free League Publishing don't want to get stretched too thin. I know there are gamers out there who have, talked about how some of the more recent Free League Publishing games that came out were not as good as they expected. And they were like, oh, well, they're stretched really thin. I don't know. I don't know about that. I haven't run across anything that's terrible from Free League Publishing ever. I have run across stuff that I'm like, it's all right. Usually when I review stuff from Free League Publishing, it gets like an 8 or higher. Not everything, but most things definitely do. All right. So some other questions are coming out. I'll have to tackle those at another time because I promised I would mention if I was going to do a holiday sale. So I believe I mentioned this last week. I'd been kicking around doing another game sale, like winter game sale, fall game sale, whatever. And I was thinking of maybe having the first week only be open to members of the Patreon. So they would get first dibs. So they would get kind of a secret link to a private webpage on thegaminggang.com. And then I would probably open it up to members of our Discord server the following week. And then just maybe the last 2 weeks, just have it open to the public. So I know. I don't know if people are interested or not. I've floated out there on Discord. I didn't get any comments from anybody. So, I mean, if nobody's interested, I'm not going to do it. Or if like, you know, there's only a couple of people who are kind of like, hey, you're going to do another game sale? Because I got loads of stuff I can unload. Some from Free League Publishing, who we've been just talking about for quite a while. I have some dupes of stuff. I've got, somebody sent me like 5 copies. I shouldn't say somebody. The author sent me like 5 companies of the West Marches campaign guide on top of the one that I already reviewed. So I've got those that, you know, I'm going to put out there at a very low price. So because they're just going to collect dust here. Ravenclaw 74 asks if I'm going to unload that copy of Fatal. Don't own a copy, don't own a PDF. I've never glanced at it. I have heard about it. Chris Lundgren says, hell yes, do it. Tessie Trekkie says, let's go. I will probably look to put that together next week. I will probably roll that out Black Friday. So if you are, I'll put it up on Patreon. It'll be Black Friday. And then of course I will put it out in a post on Patreon where only, you know, members can actually get a peek at it. So, all right. That is it for this time out. If you're curious what's cooking on tomorrow's show, we're going to keep that science fiction vibe going. We're going to take a look at the Traveler Highguard 2022 update from my friends over at Mongoose Publishing. We're going to take a peek at more Traveler stuff. And then on Thursday, we're going to take a look at the Gensicon Adventure Bundle from Gooey Cube. Big old box again, nice and hefty. This is a collection of adventures ranging from levels 6 through 11. I'm kind of surprised. I'm going to have to take a look because I have 4 boxes of stuff. We took a look at the city box last week. And that the adventure that came with that was also like level 6. I'm kind of curious if I've got anything from Gooey Cube that's like low level. We'll find out. Yes, Agile Monk says Gooey Cube builds big boxes. They most certainly do. So that'll be on Thursday's show. All right, everybody. That's it for this time out. If you liked the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. I'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as yesterday's first look at the Alien, the role-playing game, Evolve. I almost said Evolution. Evolved Edition starter set from Free League Publishing, as well as my first look at the Riverbank role-playing game. No, enjoy that with a cup of tea. Actually, it looks kind of fun. So, and of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. I'm Jeff McAleer, and as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.